It is Saturday night. It is 6:05 Eastern. It is not TBS, which means it is not the Superstation, nor is it Saturday night. It is just the Unnamed Pro Wrestling Show, formerly known as the Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour. Again, still looking for a name. If you have a name for it that you'd like to give, you can send it to the page. You can send it to me, either direct message or email, or you can leave it on our lovely phone line. 303-351-2152 is the number. Definitely make sure you can give it a call with complaints, gripes, questions, things you want to see, anything like that. Once again, 303-351-2152 is the number there. Tripping over my numbers and letters a little bit. I need to work on my diction like a broadcast professional. Unique New York. Unique New York. I went to college, can you tell? Anyway, we've got a big show for you guys today. We've got an interview with the awesome one, Joe Barton, for our local interview, and for the out-of-towner, we've got Stephen Vest of PromoMania. He was he was gracious enough to grant us some of his time and talk to us a little bit about PromoMania and what he's doing with that. We are also going to run down everything that happened at Money in the Bank, which was a pretty big show. It always is. It was a turning point for the WWE for the year, as it is in most cases. But before we get too much further into things, as always, gotta give a shout out to I Am the Provider. We are, of course, filming this at the Den of Delinquency, conveniently located below the Palace of Enlightenment in undisclosed location, Colorado. There are a lot of undisclosed locations in Colorado, but this is the undisclosed location. So, also, before I get too further carried away, shout out to Cutthroat Cody for completely killing any of my production on production day with his FMW stream, 24 hours of FMW. That wrapped up a few hours ago as you're watching this. It is still going strong as I'm shooting this. And Cody, you killed my production. I would love to have you on sometime. Can't wait for you to do the All Japan stream you were telling me about. But this FMW has been some great stuff, and I have gotten my Hayabusa fix in. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I know there were a lot of you out there that did not enjoy it, to which I say, tough noogies. It's WWE's match. They can do whatever they want with it. They decided to go a comedy route this year, and I was thoroughly entertained by it. I laughed my ass off, and if you didn't, that's... Honestly, I would say that's your problem, but that kind of bothers me that you can't just shut up and enjoy the ride. And that's going to be a recurring theme. I'm going to tell you guys to shut up and enjoy the ride an awful lot, because you don't know where they're going with it. It was a hilarious match. It had some very, very funny moments. Dana Brooke grabbing the case in the conference room. At the time, I thought it was kind of stupid because, like, come on, you're in the match. How do you know it's not up on the roof? But in the heat of the moment, you see a briefcase. Oh my God, I got it. It was funny. There was a lot of funny stuff about it. I laughed at the food fight. I laughed at Otis trapping AJ Styles with a set of weights, because it was a great show of strength from Otis, if you think about it. I absolutely loved AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan in Vince's office. Vince's reactions were great, and the fact that he sanitized himself after they were even in his office, even though he didn't touch him, was again fantastic. If you think that we were supposed to think for a second that Rey Mysterio or Aleister Black got thrown off the building, you're a complete imbecile. The thud came way too quickly for it to have been a 77-foot fall. We are supposed to think that they fell onto a platform that we just couldn't see, especially with all the overhead establishing shots showing that the ring was nowhere near the edge of the building. So you really are an imbecile if you thought that we were supposed to think anything like that. And I'm not talking about the internet cracking jokes, rest in peace Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio. Those were funny. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about does WWE really expect us to think they got thrown off a building? No, they don't, you imbecile. I don't understand how you could think they were trying to imply that. I don't. And I really think you're an imbecile if you thought that that's what they were trying to imply. The matches were entertaining. They did what they were supposed to do, which WWE this year decided that it was supposed to make us laugh. If you're one of those people that, it's supposed to be this big, important thing, and you put it up on this pedestal, well then get a job with creative and argue to them to put it up on the pedestal, because it's WWE's match. They decided to make it a comedy match this year, and in terms of comedy matches, it was one of the best comedy matches I have ever seen. So, and when WWE does stuff I don't like, I will openly admit that I don't like it, but more often than not, I'm able to just kind of sit back, give things a little bit of perspective, and enjoy the ride. I was thoroughly entertained by it. I laughed a lot. I haven't laughed that much at a wrestling match that I was supposed to laugh at in a long, long time, so kudos to them for that. The winners of the matches, Asuka won the women's portion, which kind of a shocker to me. I really thought that Shayna Baszler was going to be the one to get the briefcase, or maybe it was going to be Nia Jax. Nia Jax was my dark horse. I kind of figured that Asuka, that maybe the door had closed on her a little bit. Obviously, I was wrong in that. She's still one of the most dominant females in WWE, probably the most dominant female in WWE, not named Baszler, Flair, or Lynch at this point. And the ladder match was a great reminder of that, and I'm going to get into everything that happened after the ladder match on Monday in just a moment. Patience. Don't start jumping the gun here, guys. But Asuka, it definitely kind of reasserted the fact that she should be taken seriously for anyone who thought maybe she wasn't being taken seriously or anything along those lines. This definitely helped to reestablish Asuka in that regard. Now, didn't really see too many people questioning Asuka. Saw a lot of people questioning why Otis won. And again, sit back, use some perspective, enjoy the ride, and let's wait to see what WWE does with this. You guys are, oh, he's not world title material, he's this, he's that, he's a fat idiot, blah, blah, blah. First of all, that fat idiot is probably stronger than anyone who out there who's calling him a fat idiot. The man is a power lifter. He was an Olympic alternate in 2012 for the Greco-Roman wrestling team. Otis is no slouch. He is definitely not a fat idiot. But and again, he's not world title material. Well, if you watch the promos or listened to what he said after the Money in the Bank ladder match, he's not going after the world title, you flippin' genius. He is sticking to his character and doing something different. He's doing something different. That is actually him going after the tag team titles, and throwing in that swerve is probably one of the biggest things that has happened to the Money in the Bank briefcase, because they have always said any WWE championship in those promos, as far as I can remember. They've never said, it has to be the world title for the show you're on. Why? Otis is going to use it on the tag team titles, and Heavy Machinery are going to get the tag title. Probably going to get a pretty good tag team title run out of it. And this idea of what you guys think a match should be, and then using that as a reason to get angry for what someone is doing with their property, it boggles my mind. I don't get it. Enlighten me when you get a chance. Go up on your typey or call the hotline and yell at me and tell me how much of an idiot I am for questioning you guys. Not a whole lot of change on the undercard. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre put on an absolute clinic. That was an insane match, and Galloway doing the bigger man thing and the Warrior thing and shake my hand at the end, I thought was a very, very super face thing to do, especially with how much of a slimeball scumbag heel that Seth Rollins has been throughout this entire thing. For Drew McIntyre to demand that Rollins shake his hand at the end of that is, honestly, I think was saying a lot about the McIntyre character, and has said more about that character in those 30 seconds than what I was able to gather of Drew McIntyre in the whole year or so he was on the main roster before that. Sasha getting involved in Bayley and Tamina's match. Obviously, Sasha's going to get involved. That's we knew the titles weren't going to change. We knew the titles weren't changing hands. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, again, everything that they're doing with Bray Wyatt is just absolute brilliance. They were able to do not quite a Firefly Funhouse match, but it was almost as psychological as Firefly Funhouse was the month before, but with a lot more physicality to it. And it was definitely a big moment in the story of Braun Strowman, in the story of the Black Sheep, and it was a nice close to that chapter, honestly. It told a lot more than I thought it was going to tell, and I'm really actually very happy for that, because honestly, going into it, I thought it was going to be a lot of Braun Strowman just dominating, and I didn't think they were going to have any of those psychological elements that it had. And so I was really pleasantly surprised by the match. Solid 3.5 out of 5, maybe even a 4. As 3, 2. Monday Night Raw definitely kind of threw a wrench into what I thought they were going to do with Asuka. I thought that she was going to have a pretty lengthy time between winning and cashing in, and I really thought that she was going to start playing mind games with all three champions, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte Flair, especially Charlotte Flair. I thought eventually she was going to cash it in on Charlotte as some kind of way to try to avenge the loss at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans when Charlotte broke her undefeated streak. I thought that was the direction they were going to go with it. Of course, as we all know by now, or as most of us know by now, that was not the case. Becky made an announcement to start Raw. She is pregnant. She is due around December, I think they were saying. I don't know if she said that, but Becky announced that she is pregnant and that she talked to the front office and said that she felt the champion should be the winner of the women's Money in the Bank match. The office agreed with her as far as storyline goes, and they put the belt on Asuka. And I still see this being a super dominant reign for Asuka. I don't know if it will be the 14 months plus that Becky Lynch's reign as Raw Women's Champion was. I would love it if it were. I think dominant champions are something that should happen a little more often. It's not something that we see very often beyond Brock Lesnar, and people knock on Brock Lesnar and say he is not a dominant champion because his defenses are so few and far between. So if the office knew ahead of time, which I don't know when Becky told the office that she was pregnant, because she's only been on TV twice since WrestleMania, so I'm guessing they had known for a while and knew that the women's Money in the Bank winner was going to be the champion. And out of all the entrants in that Money in the Bank match for the ladies, Asuka was most ready to go immediately into the championship. She needed the least amount of build-up. She was probably the most credible in that match to be an immediate champion that wouldn't have had the briefcase to help build them up, and then they use that time to build up their character and build towards that eventual cash-in, as we see happen with so many Money in the Bank winners. Asuka was the most ready to go and be the champion from the jump, and that may have been why Asuka won the women's Money in the Bank match. I am kind of curious as to if that was always the plan, or if my speculation is right and they knew a couple weeks prior that Becky was going to make this announcement when she did, and that they were going to put the belt on Asuka. I really don't see any other way because Asuka's victory in that match just came so out of left field that it this it seems most logical to me. And even if she was the choice from the word go, again, she is the most credible, the most ready to go and become a champion, and like I said, probably could have had one hell of a program with Charlotte Flair over the whole revenge angle of getting payback for losing the undefeated streak at WrestleMania 34. It is the still unnamed pro wrestling video show, formerly known as the Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour. I am JV Vanilla. You can see my guest is kicking back on the PS4 right now. He is the awesome one, Joe Barton. Joe, how are you doing today?
I am good. I am currently getting my ass kicked right now by Dana Brooke. What's going on?
I don't know what's going on there. You playing 2K20 or Fire Pro?
19. I'm going back to 19.
19, yeah. The one that doesn't have as many bugs.
The final version of 20 isn't as buggy as it used to be.
Right.
But yeah, 19 is better.
Yeah, hopefully the server.
Yeah.
Hopefully the servers are still up on that too. I'm guessing they are. But
they're closing on the 31st.
No!
Yeah.
Sad.
They're closing them on the 31st, man. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks, especially. But before we get too pulled into the video game thing, because I am definitely going to have to talk to you about some Fire Pro after we're done recording here at some point. But, because that's my new obsession. But, glad to hear you're doing well.
How are you doing, bro?
I mean, other than what I complain about on social media, I really can't complain. Where I have very, very few things to complain about. Luckily, I've been able to keep busy with making content for the Primo's channel and my channel, so this luckily hasn't been too big a change of pace, except I don't get to do shows.
Yeah, that's a drag on everybody's part. Like, I've been jonesing to get back into the ring.
Yeah, I'm definitely jonesing a little more than I thought I would be for that. But, so what are some of the things you've been doing during the Worldwide Hangover to kind of stay sharp and make sure you hit the ground running?
Hangover. Well, this week some of the gyms around Colorado, around my city, have been opening up. So I've kind of slowly been getting back into the gym. And I don't know about everybody else, but I've been working the whole time. I've been able to work the whole time through the quarantine because of my shoot job. So luckily I've been all right.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear you've been able to stay busy. So what are some of your plans for when we get back? Or what are some, you were talking about having a list on social media a little while back. What are some other things?
Wish list?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, I made that list because, I just want to, put my name out there, and then, and some other wrestlers out there, and put something in promoters and bookers' ears. I think it'll be some cool matchups with me, especially because I want to do a dub match with I Am the Provider in Denver. I think that'd be a cool thing.
That is one that definitely caught my attention. Not only did you call out Provider, but you called him out in a death match. That sounded like a death wish almost. But
well, here's the thing, Joe. I've already died once. Dying isn't that bad. I've done it once.
Oh.
And so if I have to do it again and take somebody with me, that's all the better.
And I'm assuming that previous death came during your time in the armed forces. Am I wrong there, or?
No, that's actually when I was a teenager, I got hit by a car.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, I have to hear.
I was out for a little bit, and I just woke up and just walked off with a limp.
Oh, damn. I kind of have to hear more. So you were hit by a car and like you were like clinically dead?
I don't know. I just know I was out.
Okay.
The guy was just standing over me. I don't know how much time was passed.
Okay.
And I just walked home with a limp.
Damn.
Did not tell my parents.
Did not tell you, yeah. There were a couple times I got messed up. I didn't tell my parents. I don't think I ever lost consciousness or was on death's door, but yeah, there was a couple times I'd walk home. What happened to your lip? Nothing happened to my lip. Meanwhile, I tried doing an endo on a BMX and just went, yeah, but all kinds of things. Never tell mom or dad. But I touched on it just a bit a couple seconds ago with my incorrect assumption there. But as I was saying, you are a veteran of the armed forces, and this is something that in my almost 12 years in wrestling, at least at this level, I'm noticing a lot more of. There wasn't so much when I first started, but now there are a lot of active duty wrestlers. There are a lot of guys that are in the reserves wrestling and veterans wrestling. I'm just wondering if that was something you had noticed yourself, or maybe you can see some kind of correlation.
I've always noticed that because, Road Dogg Jesse James was a combat vet.
Yeah, Desert Storm.
And and then if you go back, a lot of the greats were veterans. They fought in World War II. Lou Daz, he was a World War II hero. So yeah, if you just do a little bit of history, like veterans has always been, and pro wrestlers have always been hand in hand. I think it's more so now with veterans are learning combat sports. Participating in combat sports is a good way to cope with the PTSD. I've always been able to express myself physically and be myself through combat sports, and I've always been a fan of pro wrestling, so it was just a natural fit.
Definitely. Is there anything that has carried over into the pro wrestling world that you picked up while in the service?
Oh man, basically everything. Just basically how I want to be treated. It's just things I took from the army. Like if you want respect, you just give it. You be professional. Like one of the creeds in the army, the NCO creed. The first line is no one is more professional than I. And that's just an attitude that I want to bring with me over, and I'm not trying to talk shit about anyone or anyone in the business. So I think there's a lot of unprofessionalism, and people keep on saying that we need to be taken serious as professionals, but they're the same guys doing this unprofessional shit. So if you've been following my social media, I write a lot about that shit and how I want to be the change, and that's what I want to bring over. Yeah.
Definitely. And for people watching from outside the Rocky Mountain area or that may not be familiar with you, where can they find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Joe Barton Wrestling. You can find me on Twitter at I am awesome 513. Joe is awesome. And you can check me out on my Facebook page, the Awesome One Joe Barton.
Very cool. Very cool. And you are traveling a little bit more than some of the wrestlers in this region. You're being featured in Devotion Championship Wrestling in Salt Lake. You're obviously being featured out here in Primos and other promotions in Colorado. Is there, and you were actually down in Mexico this past November, I think it was?
Yeah.
Where are some other places that you want to maybe check off, or places that you want to work, places you want to see? What are some of the things you want to do in wrestling?
Oh man, I'm glad you asked this question. So I most definitely, I want to wrestle in my hometown. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and in my eyes and in my opinion, Memphis, Tennessee is the wrestling capital of the world. And you can argue with me about that all day. And I really want to wrestle in Memphis. I'm talking to promoters. I was talking to promoters and bookers down there before this whole thing started, and because of the pandemic and everything going on, everything got pushed to the left. But hopefully, fingers crossed, sometime in the future, I'll be wrestling in my hometown. My mom will be in the front of the audience, cussing and going crazy. So
that's great.
And and also I wanna go back and wrestle at the state I got my wrestling started in North Carolina. Definitely want to wrestle in Florida. Want to go back to San Diego and wrestle with some of my friends and mentors out there. And I just want to wrestle everywhere as much as I can, wherever I can. I don't care if it's one person or 1,000 people in the crowd. I just want to do it, man. I just want to get out there and express myself.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. And Memphis is definitely up there with the New Yorks and Torontos and Tokyos of the world as far as wrestling hotbeds, wrestling capitals of the world. That is definitely a place that I would love.
History, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss our Coliseum. Yeah.
One of my favorite angles of all time, Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman, was Memphis.
Oh yeah.
So
my great aunt was there for that.
Oh man, I don't even.
Yeah.
But before I take up too much more of your time, because I've got so many more questions, but I'm trying to keep it a little short and sweet and to the point.
I am an open book. Ask away, baby.
And there was.
So I'm honest as hell.
We're in Colorado, ladies and gentlemen. That is completely legal. So, one of the things I did want to bring up was on social media, there was one of the guys, Chongo, was calling out all the young guys, and you, viewing yourself as a younger guy, started calling out some of the old guard. You called out the provider, as we were talking about earlier, but that was it made kind of an interesting question for me because in the wrestling game you are definitely a young gun as far as time in and everything, but you've definitely got more seasoning on you than some of the young guys because you're not 18, you're not 19 like some of the younger guys coming in. But how do you feel that gives you an advantage, and if so, how?
Yeah, I do. I actually do think it gives me an advantage because there are a lot of veterans with a lot of big heads, and they're not doing what they should to either A, be on top, or B, you know, get better. They're just staying the same. And me, I have experience outside of pro wrestling. I'm bringing a lot of other things into wrestling. My mixed martial arts experience, my army combatants experience, and also while I was in the army for 12 years, I was still training pro wrestling. I had other veterans and NCOs training me pro wrestling that I knew. So when you're getting in the ring with me, yeah, on paper I may have 3 years in the business, but you're facing someone with 10 years of training and actual combat experience. So that sets me alone from a lot of different greener guys already.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Um, is there anything you'd like to add right now? Anything that I didn't touch on that that you want to get out there?
Um, I hope everybody's doing all right. It kind of sucks right now. Like a lot of people in this business, in this sport can't really express themselves. But it's also good that we're finding other avenues to express ourselves. But please understand, for people on the outside, please understand how hard this is. We are artists. We are athletes. Regardless of what Tom Segura says, we're not retarded.
Yeah.
And I feel that's kind of fucked up coming from a stand-up comedian because stand-up comedians and pro wrestlers have a lot of similarities.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So for him to say something like that about us, that lets him know how far off he is from his reality and where he's come from. And like I'm saying, like imagine a painter not being able to paint. That's what it's like for a wrestler. Imagine a poet or a writer not being able to pick up a pencil or a pen or be able to type. That's what it's like for us. You can't get in there and tell those stories, and all of us are just sitting back and just itching and just jonesing to tell a story. And we all got so many ideas we want to do, and that's the good thing. I think it's gonna come out. I want to see come out of it. I think it's going to come out of this. It's just going to be a renaissance of this creativity, and I think we're going to get some awesome matches from the indie scene, and yeah, I think it's going to be good in the future where everything starts opening back up.
Definitely, I can't wait to see some of the creativity that the creative artists, as they really are around the country, get to start expressing here very soon. One more time, if you want to give them the social media tags real quick, I'll have them up on the screen too,
Okay.
but if you want to give them away one more time.
Okay. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at the awesome one, Joe Barton. Message me, hit like, hit me up on Instagram at Joe Barton Wrestling, and on your Twitters, That's how they say it. The Twitter.
Yes.
All right. Joe is awesome at I am awesome 513. Oh, and please check out my Pro Wrestling Tees store. Finally got up and running. 4 brand new designs for you to bring home. Pro Wrestling Tees / Joe Barton Wrestling. Get you a shirt. Help support indie wrestling. Oh, that's another thing. I keep on forgetting. It's the weed talk. I'm sorry, folks.
No worries.
So being in quarantine just made me realize how much connected pro wrestlers are to like other artists. Like, because we can't wrestle, we can't get that money. We can't, help get this money to this independent artist who helps us out with a shirt design, or to this independent designer who helps us out with gear. Like, it just made me think, like, damn, it really is a network, and like not being able to afford really sets off this backlash for people. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
See that. Yeah.
Definitely.
But like I said, we're gonna pull through, and we're all gonna make it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Joe, thank you for your time, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, let's do this again. Next time with my internet connection, bro, let's get a Ride 5 Pro in, bro.
Oh, no doubt, most definitely. You owe me a pizza too.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right.
We'll set that up in the future, bro.
Yeah. Have a good one, man. Shout out to Joe Barton for taking the time out of his day to give me that interview. As I said, it was one of the better ones that we've had. It was definitely a fun conversation. Would love to have you here in the lovely studio basement when we are able to go out and about a little bit more. Definitely would love to have you in studio. Definitely need that deep dish pizza that you owe me. I was really excited for that, and when it didn't happen, I was sad. Even though deep dish is more of a casserole. Anyway, coming up next, we have our interview with Stephen Vest down at PromoMania. He's going to touch a little bit on what that tournament is, how you can catch it, and how you can monetarily support your favorite wrestlers in that tournament. Without further ado, here is the interview with Stephen Vest of PromoMania. It is the pro wrestling show that I don't have a name for. It was the Pro Wrestling Power Hour, Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour. We've been going through a bunch of them. We're asking the fans to give us some new names. That is not any of the concern of my guest right now. Joining me right now is a man who has had one of the better ideas for new content, which is a very hard thing to come by during this worldwide hangover, because we can't say the other thing that it is on this show. We're trying to avoid that. This is Stephen Vest from PromoMania. Stephen, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. It's great to have you. Obviously, we kind of know what was the impetus for this idea to get started, and it was, as I just alluded to, a need for new content. But there are a lot of people that have ideas and things that they think will work, and they never embark on them, or they just don't try it. What was the motivation to make you just finally say, you know what, this is something that I'm going to go for here?
Well, the biggest thing is, first and foremost, I missed wrestling. I missed not being able to go to shows for, obvious reasons. And I wanted a way to not only provide content for fans, but find a way to make money for the wrestlers as well. So I thought it would be great to set up a tournament where they would talk trash to each other on YouTube, fans would contribute tips to whoever they thought cut the best promo, and that person would win and go on to the next round.
Okay, very cool. And this is something where the competitors, the participants, are keeping all the funds donated to them during the video win, lose, or draw, correct? You're not making a cent off this, right?
Yeah, that's 100% right. We are giving, win, lose, or draw, like you said, the wrestler gets their money. And at the end of the whole tournament, the final pot is going to be split between the wrestler who wins as well as the charity No Kid Hungry.
Oh, very cool, very cool. I was not aware of the charity portion of that. Where on YouTube can they find it? Is it on YouTube? Is it Facebook? Or where can they find these videos?
So you actually are able to find them on the Zealot Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. So it's the word Zealot, Zealot, Pro Wrestling channel on YouTube, and that's the channel that's hosting the videos. You can find us on Facebook under PromoMania, and then on Twitter as Promo_Mania 2020.
And the tournament started last month. I saw it started in April. It's one round. I saw a couple of the participants you have in there. I'm not going to take that big surprise away from you. How many rounds are you guys having? How many participants do you have? And drop those names, Steven.
Yeah, totally. So we had 16 slots available in the tournament. We wanted to throw a fun twist in and actually have 2 tag teams in it to kind of spice it up a little bit. We wanted to have a lot of representation. So we had, 18 people all considered, and, people you've heard of probably like Danhausen and Warhorse and Douglas James, and then people you should have heard of by now that maybe you haven't, like Fresco Matic and Frontman Jaw and Dark Sheik and the American Kaiju Devin Sparks, just to name a few.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned the American Kaiju Devin Sparks. I have not gotten around to, I didn't get to see the promo he cut against Danhausen. I'm going to go back and watch it tonight. I did, however, see the one that he cut with Mike Camden as the Hogsman against Warhorse. I saw Warhorse's response. That is some great content. You were alluding to people that more people should be aware of, and both of the Hogsmen in my book are those guys. As you alluded to, Devin Sparks definitely. Mike Camden is another guy who, if you haven't seen him, definitely check him out.
Mike Camden is severely underrated. I knew he was underrated in the ring, but I had no idea how underrated he could be on the mic. And they beat Warhorse, so what can you really say besides that?
Yeah, which was a huge shock for me. I was honestly surprised. I would have tipped all 3 men, but honestly, just based off how well known Warhorse is, I thought maybe Warhorse would have had that one in the bag. But that's why people need to watch these promos and support the people that they've, and now I'm just doing your job for you. So this will be, I saw that we've gotten through round 1 pretty much, so this is probably going to be running through till at least Memorial Day or June, right?
Yeah, the way it's set up, we obviously have to wait for the wrestlers to be able to send in the content that, obviously we're not putting any kind of rush on these people because they have lives, so when the videos come in, it's set up. The next round is going to start this coming Saturday, May the 16th. So okay. That's when the quarterfinals are going to start.
Oh, then the timing on this was perfect. I will have the link at the bottom of the screen right here where everyone can check those out. So what have been some of your favorite moments from PromoMania so far?
Oh, wow. I mean, one of the biggest things has just been some of the upsets. Danhausen lost to American Kaiju Devin Sparks in the very first match of the first round, and nobody could have saw that coming. I said that my bracket was busted in the very first match, so that's been a big big thrill for me. And then getting to see people shine that you've never heard of before, like Frontman Jaw and 4 Minutes of Heat, have all stepped up and really delivered and, done things that are really making the fans happy.
Definitely, and 4 Minutes of Heat, another act that if you guys have not seen them, please go check them out. They are tearing it up and down the Pacific Coast right now, mostly out of the Pacific Northwest, and both of their mullets are just lovely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to add? Is there anything you would like to see coming in the tournament? Just right now, the floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing is that I always like to make sure I say that none of this would have been possible without a couple people. Travis Stevens from Wrestling Calendars, one of the sponsors, has been, just such an amazing resource for me when it comes to finding the best people possible to be in the tournament. And then Casey and Sarah Van Buren from Zealot Pro Wrestling have also contributed more than I could ever say in words. So it would definitely not have been possible without them. And then Brandon Reichard from Party Hard Wrestling was willing to put the Party Hard Multiverse Championship on the line for the winner of PromoMania, or the Tag Team Championships if a tag team wins. So, the pot gets even richer. They win cash, they get a title shot. And so I have to give a big thanks to all those people, because it definitely wouldn't have happened without them.
Definitely, and all of those people you named are people that I have worked with before during my time in Arizona. All of them are great people to be involved with. Myself, maybe not so much, but so again, they can find it at the Zealot Pro Wrestling YouTube, and they can find it on Facebook at PromoMania, correct?
Yep, look up PromoMania on Facebook and Twitter. You can't miss it. We, Ray Basura, the Trash King, did the logo for us from Basura Paint, and then Hibon Huerta did the logo for the flyer. So you can't miss them. I mean, the artwork's amazing for both those things, and the logo is a parody of the WrestleMania logo, so it's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to Ray Basura, definitely. Maybe not a friend of the show, but a good friend of both yours and mine.
Yeah, I love him and I miss him.
I miss Ray too. My God. Man, that should have been the indicator that this was not going to be our year, because that's how the year started, was Ray Basura. Right. That... it's just been all downhill from there.
Yep, yeah, and hopefully we're able to provide some bright spots in all of this, but it's nice to see some things going back to normal, and I've already seen a couple flyers popping up for wrestling shows, so I'll be able to hug all my friends again soon and see all the wrestlers do what they, love.
Yeah, definitely. Being down there in Arizona, things are different all over the country. Hopefully everyone stays safe and we get to do what we enjoy doing the most very soon in the safest way possible. But
100%.
Yeah, Steven, thank you so much for your time. If there's anything you'd like to add, please do so. And we'll see.
Just enjoy PromoMania, enjoy wrestling, be a fan, don't be a negative critic. Let's all try to celebrate our similarities and not our differences, and just enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that I need to listen to a little bit more often.
Hey, I've seen you online. You're actually really, really good about it.
I try to be.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this platform, and I appreciate everybody who's helped make PromoMania what it is, the wrestlers, the fans, everyone involved.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Steven.
Thank you.
Thanks. Shout out to Steven. Thank you so much for the interview. Again, you can check him out there on the Zealot Pro Wrestling YouTube page and contribute to your PromoMania favorites that way. remember, it is all based on the wrestler that raises the most money. And win, lose, or draw, the wrestlers keep whatever they make during that tournament. 100% of everything donated to them goes to them. Steven isn't taking a cent of it. Zealot's not taking a cent of it. They're eating all the overhead on their own, and all the money is going to the wrestlers. So definitely is something worthwhile that you should check out. And even if you can't donate, definitely check it out and support your favorites that way, because the views definitely matter. That does it for this week of the Unnamed Pro Wrestling Show, formerly known as the Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour. I am JV Vernola, and we will see you next week.